Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Football Fignuts podcast. This is Season 3, Episode 16. If you're counting all of them, it's 116. I'm Craig.
My name is Britt.
And Britt, we're back out of a horrible, injury-filled, disgusting week.
Yeah, don't get me started. DFS was a nightmare this week because of one or two key underperformers and then injuries. I missed pay lines by less than 10 points in more than half my pools. If Matt Ryan doesn't decide to leave the game, if Josh Jacobs doesn't miss like 10 snaps, or if Deshaun Watson, any of those three things happen,
Or
it's a
Fuller.
Oh, yeah, Will Fuller. We had Will Fuller in a bunch of lineups last week. If any of those three things happen, we probably one of those four things doesn't happen, we break even. If two of those four things don't happen, we clean up last week because the rest of our lineups were really pretty solid. Yes, but yeah, last week was our second losing week of the year, so the metric is 5 for 7 this year. And you know what? You can't predict injuries. It's just part of what you got to deal with. So, but let's start with the beer. What do you got tonight, Craig? I'm taking the week off. I'm going on a cruise, as you know, in a couple of weeks, and I am going to be doing a great deal of consuming of alcohol. So it's
part of your package.
It's part of the package. Listen, when the scotch is free, it flows. So
it better.
You know, the last time I was on a cruise 5 years ago for my honeymoon, the guy at the coffee, because on this particular ship, you can get hard liquor at the coffee station.
Yes.
And there's never a wait because nobody ever thinks to go to the coffee station for a scotch. So by the end of the cruise, the dude would just see me walking and reach for the bottle. So I have a feeling that's going to happen again.
What kind of scotch were you getting?
What was I drinking? I think I was drinking Johnny Black.
Okay.
I had a Macallan or two when I first got on board. I love the Macallan's my favorite scotch on earth. But I drank Johnny Black because it's just much more reasonably priced. And on this particular cruise, the Johnny Black will be considered complimentary.
Ooh,
so,
perfect.
Yeah. So in the meantime, I'm giving a good couple of weeks off to my liver. What
nice
do you got?
Yeah. This week, since I'm drinking again,
congratulations.
My first beer is by Sierra Nevada. This is their 2019 Oktoberfest.
Ooh, okay.
So I like picking up their stuff because, it does subtly change every year with their seasonal stuff.
Oh, yeah. They do a holiday ale. I think it's called Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And every year, they just openly tell you every year the recipe changes. And it's one of my wife's favorites. So pry that bad boy open. I'm curious.
All right. It's a bottle, so you're really not going to hear anything.
Okay, so I'll make the
there you go.
artificially.
It's 6%.
Okay.
And it says on the back here, it's the ultimate season of revelry. So we teamed up with the German farm Bitburger Brewery for an Oktoberfest that turns backyards into beer gardens. And then the flavor is a rich amber color, secret hop blend with a smooth malty flavor. Let's give it a try.
While he's trying that, I'll just remind folks, we still do have a special beer from whatchamacallit. Oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank on him? Allagash.
There you go.
To get to. I just haven't been down there yet to see Craig. I'm on remote again this week. And we also have a bottle of Rosemary's Other Baby for next week in honor of Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, next week is Halloween?
Next week is the 30th. Today is the 23rd. We record on Wednesdays. We're not on Halloween this year. Not like last year.
No more doorbell ringing.
Which was hysterical. 10 years of living in that place, and Craig's like, I've never gotten a trick-or-treater. We got 3 while we recorded.
Yep.
So if you want to laugh at us, look back about a year. You'll see an episode for Halloween. It released the day after Halloween. It's hysterical because Craig gets so upset after promising me we wouldn't get interrupted, and the hystericalness of it is great.
It was a good episode.
It was a good episode. Tell me about Oktoberfest, though.
So it's really smooth. I wouldn't say it's not like the Marzen beers. Mm-hmm. It's not like that. It's very smooth, easy to drink. Definitely brown, amber in color. But the back end is very malty. So if you don't like that malt flavor in beers, you probably would not like this.
And that's kind of a Sierra Nevada trademark. Their beers tend to be very malty on the back end. I know I mentioned the Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. That beer as well. It's even their IPAs. Hazy Little Thing is one of theirs.
That's a good one.
That's very good, but that's also very smooth and a little malty on the back end, more malty than you'd expect out of an IPA like that. So that's good. I'm glad to hear it. So that's a drink again. Then that's a repeat.
Yeah, if I find this 2019 again, I would drink it again.
There you go. All right, let's talk some burning hot take questions.
All right.
So I have two this week that are really burning with me. So I'm not even gonna give you an option this week.
All right.
So all sorts of stuff going down in the NFL. The first thing we got to talk about is the two big trades that took place. We had Emmanuel Sanders being dealt to San Francisco.
Yep.
And we had Mohamed Sanu being dealt to the Patriots.
Right.
We found out today that they were probably the driving force behind Mohamed Sanu's trade is the fact that Josh Gordon is going to be done for the year. We're going to get into injuries in a little bit. Bigger immediate impact in fantasy, and this goes for both where they're going to and coming from. Does Emmanuel Sanders make an instant impact in San Francisco? Does his departure mean anything big for Denver? And now the other side, does it mean anything big for someone who's still in Atlanta with Sanu gone? And does Sanu make an immediate impact in the Patriots? So one of those four things, who's making the biggest splash and why as a result of these two trades?
So I'm going to go with Sanu and the Patriots and the Falcons.
Okay.
So I think, the Falcons, when Matt Ryan's healthy and not limping, so he has Julio Jones, he has Mohamed Sanu, and he had Calvin Ridley.
Right.
With Sanu gone, I personally think this kind of, with him now, sidebar, with a healthy Matt Ryan.
Because we don't know what his status is right now. He thinks he's going to play. I don't know that he's going to play.
Right. So we'll just assume that he's healthy and he can play. This puts Ridley up several tiers.
Mm-hmm.
Because now his targets, I would say, I'm not going to say double, but they're going to be double digits.
So the biggest impact is that someone leaving Atlanta has created more fantasy opportunities in Atlanta for you.
Right. For me. And if it's Sanu going to the Patriots, the Patriots just get the ball to anyone who's open. So most of the receivers are broken. Even Julian Edelman, who's starting, is broken. Josh Gordon's on IR now, so they really have no one.
This trade did not make a lot of sense to me, the Sanu to the Patriots trade, until Gordon went on the IR today.
Right.
Because if you read the stuff from last week with Demaryius Thomas and him trying to dismiss the revenge game stuff, but he was open and said, I went to the Patriots, they brought me in, they released me and said, sit tight. He goes, I had my agent told other teams I'm not going anywhere. I could have gone somewhere else. He's like, I told my agent to sit tight, and because the Patriots were going to bring me back, and they did. They brought me back, and then they immediately traded me. And he was like, I don't understand why you brought me back to trade me. And he said, the coach sat him down and said, there's just too many mouths to feed. We got a lot of people to spread the ball around. We're deep at wide out. It makes sense to get you someplace where you're going to play more. But then you go and you make a trade for Mohamed Sanu. Now, granted, Mohamed Sanu is probably at a place in his career where he's in a better performance place. He's going to give you more than the older Demaryius Thomas is right now. But Belichick has always been relatively straight with his players. He's not been a guy who ever tells his players that media is a different story. We all know that. But he's always been straight with his players. So when he goes to Demaryius Thomas, and particularly veterans, he's always upfront with his veterans. So he goes to Demaryius Thomas and says, I can't get you the ball. I'm going to trade you. I've got too many people. And then acquires Mohamed Sanu. It looks weird. When the Gordon news comes out today, it doesn't look weird at all because Gordon was healthy when they traded Thomas. He's not healthy now. It makes a lot more sense. For me, the answer to my own question is the void left in Denver. The problem is Joe Flacco has been atrocious. This means more Courtland Sutton. This means more Courtland Sutton, and this means they're going to start working Deshaun Hamilton into the offense, in my opinion. They want to target Noah Fant. Noah Fant can't catch anything. I don't know what's wrong with this dude.
I don't know. I think he's nervous. I'm not sure.
Ball hit him in the hands 2 or 3 times. They're just easy drops.
Yeah.
They want to get Drew Lock out there, but Drew Lock is still on IR. I don't know. I think if it's going to be one of those things like with Philadelphia when Deshaun Jackson was getting a lot of the targets, all of a sudden they start throwing in Nelson Aguilar. I think that's what's going to happen in Denver as well. Courtland Sutton's going to see even more targets. And when they say, okay, we got to take away Courtland Sutton, they're going to start targeting Deshaun Hamilton. So I think you're going to see more of a fantasy impact in Denver, but a lot of that is dependent on what they're going to do with the quarterback situation. But it's just pitifully bad. I mean, the preseason made me very hopeful, and now I'm just like, no. So, wow. Breaking news.
Yeah.
Josh Gordon found out he was going to the IR by reading an Instagram post.
Oh, boy.
So he did not even know they were putting him on IR until he saw social media. So that's not great communication, and that's not typical of the Patriots. They typically don't communicate that way. So, all right. So what have you got for me?
Wow. So there's been a lot of call for trades. Keep the same theme. Is there anyone? Now you can either answer this, NFL wise or fantasy wise,
right,
or both. Is there anyone or one or two players that you think teams need to trade to just get draft picks and forget this year even happened?
Oh God, there's so many teams that could.
Like, who do you think your top two are? Like, I'll tell you one for me right now. The way it's going for the Panthers should trade Cam Newton.
Oh, but does Cam Newton have any value?
I think he still does when he's healthy.
What can you realistically get for him, though?
You can get a player and a draft pick or 2 draft picks.
I have a 7. I mean, you're not going to get mid to late. The team I'm going to target is Miami. Miami is in full rebuild. They're clearly done with Kenyon Drake. They are absolutely clearly done with Kenyon Drake, and Kenyon Drake can do some good somewhere else, even as part of a committee on a team that's a contender. Kansas City could use Kenyon Drake. Atlanta's not a buyer, but they could use Kenyon Drake. I'm trying to think of who else. San Francisco has such a huge committee. It's hard for them to see adding to it, but they don't have a leader in that committee. So I'm looking at Miami. I'm looking at Kenny Stills. Yeah. Well, yeah. Now the Lions, of course, with Kerryon Johnson. So I think Miami should be right now the biggest seller there. But here's the thing: Miami already has, I think it said 3 first-round picks this year. And there's a possibility. One analyst said that the way it's shaping up in terms of the records, they could have 3 of the first 26 picks.
Wow.
So
they're like the new Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly. So this could be a huge, huge thing. So I don't know. Miami's probably the team I would go with. What about you?
Yeah, definitely Miami. If I was going to pick a whole team, I would say the Bengals, but Mike Brown doesn't actually make trades or talk to anyone else in the league, so I can't say the Bengals.
I've heard people talking about AJ Green's on the block. No, he's not.
No, he's not. He's not going anywhere.
AJ Green is 32 years old, and even with that statement, he's probably only on the block for a 1 and another pick. And there's no team that's going to pay that for AJ Green right now with his injury history, and his age. There's no way. If I'm picking up the phone, I'm saying I'll give you a 5 or a 6, or I'll give you I'll give you.
Would you trade for AJ Green in fantasy?
I can't. We have him in a couple places in different leagues. I couldn't make a move for him right now. He's a great buy low candidate, but I can't make that move.
Fair answer.
I can't. Which leads me to the third question, the final question, which is injuries galore. We got people going, we got people coming. So let's go over just the highlights. And if I miss anybody, you just jump in.
Okay.
Kerryon Johnson's essentially done for the year. His IR designation gives him the ability to come back in Week 16. No one cares about Week 16 because that's championship week for fantasy folks, and Detroit's not going to rush him back because they're not making a playoff run. Adam Thielen has been ruled out for the Thursday night game this week. He hurt his hamstring somehow in a play where he landed on his wrist, rolled into the wall, and banged his head against the bottom of the wall and came up with a hamstring injury. Figure that one out. I watched that live. I was watching the game with Cinch, and he hit that wall, and I went, "Oh, that's a concussion." And he went, "No, look, he's cradling his wrist." And then 5 minutes later, they're like, "He's out with a hamstring."
My liver. Yeah.
And we just looked at each other and said, "What the hell?" So you got Thielen, and he's out for at least this week. Mahomes had a limited practice today. I'm telling you right now that if Mahomes plays this week, I want blood drawn to prove that he is not an android. There's no way Pat Mahomes plays this week, and yet they said he was going to get a limited practice in today. I did not see how that went, but a limited practice on an injury that should be 3 to 6 weeks, that's insane to me. And that's stupid. Listen,
yeah, it's very stupid.
the Green Bay Kansas City game is going to be a shootout, and yes, you have a better chance of winning, but you're going from a 55% chance of winning versus a 40% chance of winning with Matt Moore. It's not worth it. It's not like Mahomes is definitively going to make the difference in this game. And that's the thing. And you don't have to win this game. It's non-division. No. You've still got a 2-game lead because Oakland dropped another game last weekend, and you picked up a game on Oakland. Rest him. Get him healthy. All right, so let's recapping. We got Kerryon Johnson. We got Adam Thielen. We got Patrick Mahomes. Matt Ryan limped off the field. He is in doubt this week. He says he's going to play. Drew Brees says he's going to practice this week and says he plans to return week 8. Everybody else is kind of like, week 9 roll off.
Yeah, I would wait.
What injury? So who else died this week? Oh, Will Fuller.
Will Fuller
and Josh Gordon. What's the biggest loss right now? If you're looking at DFS season long, which one of these guys is the greatest loss for you? You're just like, man, that changes everything.
For me, I mean, if we're talking fantasy wise, it's Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean,
it has to be out of that list.
The problem with Mahomes has always been, and I don't have him. Do we have him anywhere? I don't think I have any shares of Patrick Mahomes. I would love to have shares of Patrick Mahomes, but in DFS he was so expensive, he was virtually unusable. But he was so good at DFS. It's such a huge loss. Now you're like Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson just came off a game where he was massively underperforming. I mean, with Watson coming off of a bad game, I mean, you always the opposite of the hot hand theory. You play the guy who came off a bad game.
Yeah.
We did that. I did that after the Kirk Cousins debacle when Adam Thielen went nuts on Kirk Cousins. I started Kirk Cousins next week. We cashed. That was a no-brainer. When Stephon Diggs started to complain they don't throw at me enough, I paired him with Stephon Diggs next week. We cashed again. So, but I don't know. I think for me it's Matt Ryan. Ryan had been, for fantasy purposes, so good because Atlanta is so bad. And let me tell you, I believe Atlanta is on bye in week 9. I will be shocked if they don't make a coaching change. Shocked. Hooper has been fantastic. Julio has been Julio. You've had all the pieces. Devontae Freeman stinks.
I've heard rumors that they may trade Hooper.
Yeah. I don't think it's outside the realm possibility.
Not with the way Atlanta's season's going. You might as well take what you can get.
Exactly. There's no reason to cling to these pieces unless you consider them franchise. And the bottom line is they can't afford – if you're going to elevate Hooper to the level of a franchise player, you can't afford everybody. You can't. It's part of the reason Devontae Freeman is the running back. They can't afford to bring in a better running back.
Right.
If they're really bad this year, they need to go out and find a running back in the draft. That is your sole job on the offensive side of the ball. You need to bring in a running back. But I think Atlanta is a great on paper team that just has not played well in NFL, but has been fantastic for fantasy. Matt Ryan had been basically a must use. I think all season long in DFS in 7 weeks in multiple lineups, around 4 to 6 lineups a week. So you're talking about 40 different lineups roughly I've run this year. I think I only used 4 quarterbacks. It was Watson, Mahomes, Ryan, and Cousins. That's it. I haven't used any.
2 of them are broken now.
2 of them are broken. One of them stinks. And Kirk Cousins now I'm sure his number is up. I don't even have it up in front of me, but he's got to be more expensive. I don't even see him. Where is he? He's 6,700 this week. So yeah, he's in the better half of it. So that's the big one for me is Matt Ryan. But
so
let's move on.
Here's a real quick question for you.
Yeah.
The Chiefs signed quarterback Kyle Shermer to back up Matt Moore. Does it matter?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
The son of Pat Shermer, coach of the Giants.
Yeah, well, hopefully he's a better player than his dad as a coach because right now there is a race for the title of worst coach in New York. I mean, did you see that they went for it on 4th down on their own 30?
Yeah.
Late in the game, and his justification was, well, I didn't know if I was going to get the ball back. Well, it doesn't matter if you don't get the ball back if you turn it over there, and your 4th down completion range at that is under 20%, and it was not like 4th and 1. It was like 4th and 15. It was not an easy conversion. You punt. You punt. You have to make a stop there. You basically just told your entire defense, I have zero faith in you. You told your entire defense, I have more faith in Daniel Jones than I have in your ability to get us the ball back. And that is, and then I'm like, all right, well, wow, the Giant coaching. And then I watched Adam Gase just go out there and show that he has no clue how to prepare a team to play the Patriots. And it's not like this is the first time. First off, you coached against them in Miami, so you know how the Patriots prepare. And you met them earlier this year. This was the second meeting for the Jets and the Pats this year. So don't tell me you didn't know how to get yourself better, and you just beat the crap out of the Cowboys.
So does that mean the Cowboys really aren't good?
No, it just means that the Jets had one good week of preparation, and that happens. Their game plan worked one time, and throwing a dart at a dartboard or a spinning wheel of ideas for plays will eventually yield some sort of result. But what it tells me is that Adam Gase has no idea what he's doing long term. None. Absolutely none. The Patriots, and this is not a knock on the Patriots when I say this, because I don't want the Patriot fans going nuts on me when they say this, but the Patriots did nothing special against the Jets. I didn't see anything that I wasn't prepared to see. They did a lot of short passes. They had a lot of passes. The pass to Bolden in the first half when he was wide open halfway down the field, Bolden ran out like he was going to do a screen and then took off. That's all they do is they change looks. They love to throw screen passes to their running back. That does not mean every time the running back stays behind the line of scrimmage near where the wide receivers line up that it's going to be a screen pass. You can't take your eyes off him and let him run past you.
Right, that's the giveaway right there.
You know, when he runs out there, stops for a second, and takes off down the field, he's going to be a possible receiver. You need to put a body on him, and they played a zone. They didn't shift the zone at all, and that I'm just like, my God, you're making it so easy. So easy. So, all right, anyway. Let's play America's favorite game.
All right,
this one's going to be quick because
okay.
There are no games under 40 this week.
Oh.
Let me say that again. The lowest over-under of the week is Chargers at Bears. That's a 40. So we're not even going to play the low end today. I've got 3 games on my list that are over 49.5. 3 strikes, Craig. Give me the 3 games that are at least 49.5 over-unders, and I will be shocked. I'm going to put a beer on the line on this one. I will bring you a beer next week if you get all 3 of these without striking out, because I was shocked.
Right, let me get the schedule. Hold on.
Okay. We really are prepared here, folks.
We are. Sorry, my phone stopped working.
We are prepared.
There we go.
By the way,
right.
Pittsburgh
So what is it?
3
over
49.5.
49.5.
Or better.
All right. Let's go Saints Cardinals.
Saints Cardinals is not on my board. Where are you? So it's Arizona at New Orleans. That's a wrong. That's strike 1. That's a 48.5.
Damn.
I thought that game would be over 52. I mean, that's a game that's just. But you know what? New Orleans' defense has gotten so much better this year.
They have.
Well, that's not true. Their run defense has been better this year, and that's what Arizona has been leaning on. I mean, Chase Edmonds, the David Johnson era, I think, is really coming to a close.
The reign of Armin Tanzarian is over.
Yes. All right, so that's strike 1, but you still got 3 on the board. What do you got for
Let's go Seahawks Falcons.
That is correct. Seattle Atlanta is a 54.
Wow.
Listen to me now. Take the deed to your house and put it in the desk. Then take every other dollar in your wallet and take the under, particularly if Matt Ryan doesn't play. Seattle is much better at home than they are on the road. And granted, Atlanta is much better at home as well. They are both home-based teams. But Seattle is the favorite in this game. Atlanta can't stop anybody. I think this game's 30-10 in favor of Seattle, and that leaves you a full 14 points short of the over-under. Do you see that over-under, 54 Seattle-Atlanta?
All right, let's see. Let's go Broncos Colts.
Strike 2.
Oh.
Denver Indy is a 44. 44. Right. See, this is what's going to be shocking to you. When you hear these other ones, you're going to be like, wait a minute, that has a higher combined total than the other games I mentioned. That's shocking.
How about Chargers Bears?
Strike 3.
Oh.
Really, Chargers Bears?
God, I was reaching.
That's a 40, by the way.
I was gonna say Bucks Titans actually.
That would have been strike 4, so that's
Oh,
okay.
damn it!
That's a 46.5. You ready?
All right.
The Giants at the Lions
What?
is a 49.5.
Why?
I'm guessing because both defenses are bad against the pass. I'm guessing. But the highest of the week is Seattle Atlanta. The next one down is Oakland at Houston. Oakland got abused in the secondary last week. Abused. What did Marvin Jones have? 4 touchdown passes?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know who the number 2 receiver is going to be, because obviously they're going to try and take DeAndre Hopkins away. But whoever is not Will Fuller, you got to use them. So Oakland at Houston, 51.5. Do you like it? I think I like the under there.
Yeah, I would take the under there.
And what about the Seattle Atlanta game? You like the under there at 54 or the over?
And who's playing? They're playing in Atlanta.
In Atlanta.
All right, so if Matt Ryan isn't playing, I would take the under.
Yeah, I think I take the under either way. I don't think Ryan's going to play either way. And then Giants at Detroit, I am taking the under. I told you to take all your money out of your wallet. Nope, I'm putting the house on Giants at Detroit. I'll take the under in that game. Daniel Jones is bad, folks. Bad. And there's nothing on that Giant team. Sterling Shepard might play. He told the media yesterday he's just waiting for medical clearance. He feels fine, but he's had 2 concussions.
Isn't Ingram hurt too?
Ingram, yes. Yeah, I have no idea what his status is. I haven't even looked. So, all right. So we're trying to save time for our Halloween spectacular next week. So we're moving on to one more quick thing on the lines. Yeah. So normally at Green Bay at Kansas City would be an automatic over. The line on that's 48. I'm on the fence. Kansas City has not played well at home defensively.
And Green Bay has been doing pretty well.
Green Bay gives a lot of yards up on the ground historically. They're hit or miss with that, but they can be a sieve on the ground. So, the 3-headed monster of Williams, and McCoy could rack up some ground yards. This game could very easily be 35-24, even though Mahomes isn't playing. So I don't know. I'm really tempted. I want to take the over, but the under just looks so appealing in that game. I don't know. Green Bay is a 4.5-point favorite. Do you like that? Do you like Green Bay to win by at least 5 in Kansas City?
With no Mahomes and the way Kansas City's been, that's tempting.
Kansas City's losses at home have been close. They've been close.
That's true. They were beat by Jacoby Brissett with Mahomes.
That reminds me, I didn't look at the Sunday swim results this week. Did I hit on anything?
You may have. I would think I went 2 for 3.
Oh, wow. I cleaned up.
Nice.
I had New Orleans +3, and then I had a parlay, Miami +17, and Miami didn't lose by 17, and I had Minnesota giving only 1.5 points. I moved back up to 4th place. Nice. You know what's funny about that, by the way, really quick? You know who's in first place in the Sunday swim pool that we were doing?
No.
My wife's friend Tiffany, who did not understand how blind lines worked before this happened.
Now, is she making the picks, or is she getting help, or is she just going by how their helmets look?
Her boyfriend is in this too, so
is he?
I don't know where he is. Where is he? Oh, he's way down here somewhere. Where'd you go? There he is, Scott. Yeah, no, he's in 14th.
Okay.
But she's in first place.
Nice.
She's in first
now, is
place.
Is she making one big bet, or is she doing 3 bets?
She put 75 points on the Patriots to cover, which they did. And she put 75 points on the Saints to cover separately. And they both came through. She was +150 this week.
Nice.
So, all right, moving on. That's funny. I'm going to have to tell my wife that because she's got a big kick out of that. She's I don't even know if Tiffany listens. Tiffany, if you listen, keep up the good work. So, Good job. I know she likes football. I know she does fantasy. I just don't think she's ever done betting before, so this is new. All right, let's talk about the metric.
All right.
The metric failed us last week, Craig.
It did. It does not account for injuries and stupid.
And yeah, it was underperformance. A lot of our value plays underperformed last week, and injuries. And in cash games, you can usually squeak by, particularly if there's 1 or 2 key injuries. When you have injuries and underperformance, you can have one or the other and usually sneak by in cash. You can't have both. So that's what we had. Josh Jacobs was under 100 yards. I think he had 93 yards on the ground. He doesn't miss those snaps, and he gets 8 more yards. We're in business.
Right.
So So with that in mind, I went back to the metric this week and I said, "Give me a name." And it said, "Well, I kind of like Deshaun Watson." And I said, "No, no, 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 no. Deshaun Watson disappointed last week. He's going to be expensive. He's 7,100." I said, "Give me a name that you're like, yes." And it said Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill's 5,100. Tampa's secondary is brutally bad. They have given up chunk yardage. I think they're 28th or 29th in the league against the pass.
Yeah, they're worse than the Bengals. Just saying.
And Tennessee will probably do that, even if it's a lot of dump-off passes to Derrick Henry. So at 5,100, I've got him slated for 17 points. That puts him in the 3X range. So I'm really liking Tannehill this week to save money elsewhere. What do you think?
Tannehill's good for the cheap option. He's another $1,000, but I do like Matt Stafford against the Giants.
Yeah, Stafford's not a bad option either. Stafford's probably my mid-range. Tannehill's my cheap option, and Watson's going to be my stud.
Now, would you go ultra cheap and just throw in Matt Moore to save money?
Oh. No, I've got him plugged for 14 points. At 49, he's only 4,900. I would use people I would use before then, that price range. Well, Tannehill's only 5,100. I would probably use Derek Carr before that, and I'm not advocating for Derek Carr, but that game looks like it's going to be a shootout, and the over-under is so high. Vegas obviously thinks it's going to be high scoring. Phillip Rivers at 5,300. I would use Phillip Rivers before I would use Matt Moore at 4,900. I would find a way to get that $400. So he's like 6th or 7th down on my list value-wise easily.
Now here's a really quick question: would you just use people from teams that are in games with over 49 points?
Not always, but it does help for a tiebreaker. Like Derek Carr gets a boost in my rankings because of that. Deshaun Watson gets a boost in my rankings because of that. I mean, those numbers mean something. Vegas's job is not to make you bet for the loser. Vegas's job is to make the people so convinced that they're right that the bets split evenly.
Right.
Then they just make money off of fees. That's what they want to do. In a perfect world, 50% of the people back the Raiders, 50% back Houston, and they're just taking in the rake. They don't have to worry about anything else. So when they sit there and they say 54 at the over-under, they are convinced that number, half the people are going to go over and half the people are going to go under. So that means that number's got to be pretty close. The number's going to be pretty close to what they think is going to happen. So it does matter. The over-under does matter. I mean, we wouldn't talk about it on this podcast if it didn't matter. So
That's true. All
right, so you got some options. Watson if you want to go stud. Tannehill if you want to go ultra cheap, and you got Stafford for mid-range. Running back. This is where I'm spending up this week.
You don't like Old Reliable?
Old Reliable? Who's Old Reliable?
The one guy you can't quit.
Don't say it, Frank Gore.
Yep.
Okay, so the cheap combo option is Frank Gore and Josh Jacobs, because that's only $9,800 in salary. But I think Dalvin Cook is going to run crazy over Washington at home,
provided he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, this is they're talking about this as the revenge game of all revenge games. Adrian Peterson has been very open, saying he can't wait to go back. He can't wait to go back to Minnesota and run all over them. But I think the real revenge here is the quiet Kirk Cousins revenge game. Kirk Cousins, who kept saying to Washington, "Are you going to give me some money?" And they were like, "No, here's a franchise tag." Well, what about next year? No, here's another franchise tag. Now he's in Minnesota. I think he really wants to do well. I think Minnesota is going to beat Washington into a bloodied pulp. What's the line in that game?
You tell me.
Hold on, looking for it.
Robert's looking for that.
Thursday night. That's a Thursday night.
Oh.
That's tomorrow night. Minnesota's a 16-point favorite. I think Minnesota is going to crush Washington like a bug. I will take Minnesota giving 16. You heard me right. I will take the Vikings giving 16 points tomorrow night. Now, what were you about to say? You were about to interject something.
Oh, yeah, really quick. My second beer is Samuel Adams Oktoberfest.
Oh.
Why? Because it was the last one in my fridge.
Oh, Sam Adams. Their Oktoberfest is exceptionally forgettable for me.
It's average. The Sierra Nevada is definitely better.
Like the advertisement for Sam Adams Oktoberfest is it's beer. That's what can't you just say it's beer?
Do you know when I started drinking beer? Way back
Sam
when,
Adams was fancy.
Sam Adams was the fancy craft beer,
right?
And that is literally all I drank. I used to drink MDG as well, and
Right,
Sam Adams. Huh?
It's amazing how the market has changed.
Yeah.
It really is. I was looking to go back to my cruise really quick. I said I'm gonna drink a lot of scotch. I looked at the beer menu. This place has got Lagunitas, little something,
Yeah.
and it's got Blue Moon. Everything else is mainstream. Corona, Bud Light, Coors. I'm like, no, I can't do the mainstream stuff anymore. And it's not even that it's all bad. Bud Light is bad, but all the other ones, I mean, they've got some stuff to it. I want unique stuff. I don't want the mainstream stuff anymore.
You know, though, the other night I had a Stella Artois.
Oh, really? Yeah,
I
Stella's
did.
good.
I felt very fancy. I didn't put it in a glass.
Oh, Stella's good.
It is. Sometimes you just want a light lager, Anyway.
So anyway,
yes.
running backs. I'm paying up. If I can afford Cook, I'm using Cook. If I can't afford Cook, I'm paying up for Christian McCaffrey. I like Cook better than McCaffrey this week. I think if you pair Cook with Jacobs, that's 14.5 of your salary. That's a pretty good chunk, but I like that. I like that pairing a great deal. So Frank Gore is a cheap option. Frank Gore is my cheap option. I just think he's going to run really well against Philly. I'm not worried about the Devin Singletary factor yet. Philip Lindsay's another nice mid-range option at 5,600.
How do you feel about Latavius Murray?
Where is he on my list?
He's 5,800.
There he is. 5,800. I got him scheduled for 14 points. At 5,800, I would sooner use. Looking at my list really quick, I'd rather go Philip Lindsay at 56. I feel better.
I also kind of like James Conner playing Miami.
And Josh Jacobs is the same price point. So I'll take Josh Jacobs against Houston in a game that's likely to be a shootout and a lot of offense.
Now, do you think it's just better to go all chalk this week at running back?
Yeah, I'm paying up at running back. And I'm paying up smart. I'm not touching Aaron Jones, although you could. I mean, Green Bay, Kansas City can't stop anybody. But I like him a great deal. I'm looking at Chris Carson's not outside the realm of possibility, but value-wise, I think Dalvin Cook is going to get to the value marker, so I'm using him first. So if I'm paying up a running back, I got to be paying down at wide receiver, right? Well, the good news is there is not a ton of 3X value, but there's a lot of mid-range value. Mike Williams is only 4,000, and sorry, Chicago gives up passing yards. I like both the wide receivers on the Chargers this week. Mike Williams is just a little bit higher on the value meter. T.Y. Hilton just keeps getting it done. Jacoby Brissett has been so great with him. Cortland Sutton is going to see increased targets. So if I'm spending $14,000 over there, I can get away with spending only $15,000 over here to get Hilton, Sutton, and Williams. And that's going to be $15,400. So right there, that's still. So I've booked all my wideouts and all my running backs, and I'm under $30,000. That leaves me $20,000 for the tight end, quarterback, defensive flex position, and that's a lot of money if you think about it.
That is.
You're talking about $20,000. You're talking about $10,000 for your quarterback defense combo, and then you're talking about another $10,000 for your tight end and flex. And if you use a tight end that's in the cheaper side, you could find yourself with $6,000 or $7,000 worth of cap space this week. Who do you like at the wide receivers? And don't you dare say Auden Tate. I can't get behind any of your guys anymore. I just can't.
It's fine. It's fine. Hey, but the metric likes him, so we both have been a big Sutton fan this year. He's 5,300, like you said, and you know what? Mohamed Sanu has a new home.
And
he's only 4,000.
That's an issue. So we have to talk about that really quick. Historically, individuals who are traded after the values are published are pulled out of the DraftKings pools. So there's a possibility DraftKings will not allow you to use.
That's true.
I'm checking right now to see if I edit my entry.
Did you say Sanu or Sutton?
Sanu. Yeah, because you liked Sanu. Didn't you just say you liked Sanu?
I did, but I thought you said Sutton. Never mind. We're good.
I might have said the wrong name. Okay. So be careful. Be careful. Make sure as you're making your lineups, if you check at the top, they usually put banner ads at the top of the site. If a player is traded, they'll still be on the list, but there'll be a note that says this player has been traded and will require no points this week.
Right.
So pay close attention to it.
And then two other names, and one of them pains me so much to say.
Really? Okay.
It's because of his new quarterback and because they're playing Tampa, Corey Davis, because he's 4,400. And I had him last year and other Titans, and I'm definitely over the Titans, but it seems to be working out for them. My other pick is somebody on Green Bay. It's a guy with 3 names.
Oh, no.
He's $5,000. Do you know who it is? It's Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
All right, here's a list of people I will use over him. DK Metcalf, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Jarvis Landry, Geronimo Allison, Emmanuel Sanders, who may not be eligible, Gary Fitz, Alan Lazard. I'll take Alan Lazard over him. There's just better options value-wise for me. He's at 5,000, but, you know, I mean...
Even though they're playing the Chiefs?
Yeah, I mean, D.D. Westbrook's 4,500.
Is he healthy now?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's healthy-ish. He's playing the Jets. What more do you want?
Fair enough.
You know, if you don't want to use them, I'm thinking about putting Mike Williams together with, and I'm hesitant to do so. I'm using both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I'm hesitant to do so, but if I don't, D.D. Westbrook is a solid option because he's only $500 more. So, all right, we're running out of time rapidly here. So moving on to tight end. The metric likes Dallas Goedert, and I was like, no. The metric likes Austin Hooper, and I said his quarterback is dead. So I'm going to the third option on the metric, which is the first guy he really likes, which is TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinson's been up and down, but Hawkinson's only 3,500. And that means really all he needs to do is get to 10 points. If he can get in the end zone once against the Giants, which tight ends are able to do a lot, then this would be a good play. Who do you like on the tight end list?
Yeah, I like TJ. I like Irv Smith because he's so cheap. He's
Smith is
2,500.
Irv Smith is 2,500, and he's somebody who's been popping up on the lower side of the metric on the like column for a lot lately. 2,500 is really cheap. I mean, but the metric even said, you know, put out the name Mike Gesicki today, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of Darren Waller, but he's 5,900.
Waller's just kept creeping up. We were on
he's
him.
Cheaper than George Kittle. So
the metric liked him in week 1. My projection said that Oakland would lean on the tight end the first couple weeks. And I was like, yeah, but this kid's unknown. I tossed him in the 1 or 2 pools and they all cashed. I mean, he's just been fantastic, but he's been creeping up in value. I mean, you know, you ready for this? Darren Waller is now more expensive than Zach Ertz.
What does that tell you? Does that mean the Eagles are a mess?
Yes, the Eagles are a mess. Carson Wentz, you notice we have not said his name in DFS at all this year.
I dropped him in one of my leagues.
I have not endorsed Carson Wentz, I think, at all this season. I'd have to check the tape to be 100% sure on that. But, I mean, Darren Waller's been creeping up 5,900. He's more expensive than a lot of the big names on here. I think he actually might be the second or third most expensive. He's more expensive than Hooper. So right now, I mean, I think he's the number 2 or number 3 tight end in terms of value, or in terms of salary rather. So I'm going to pay down here to Hawkinson. So again, that gives me more money to pay up elsewhere. There is a crazy thought in my head that I go extreme value across the board and put almost 20 grand into my running backs and use both Cooks and McCaffrey this week. It's not outside the realm of possibility.
Now, you would still use McCaffrey playing for the 49ers?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Because I don't think the 49ers are as good as people want them to believe they are. I mean, they've done this largely without their offense clicking. Jimmy Garoppolo has not been good. Which reminds me, 2-second aside, did you watch Gridiron Heights this week?
No, not yet.
Absolutely go watch it. It is going to reinforce every stereotype you have about Tom Brady. It's essentially Tom Brady sitting and doing an Instagram photo shoot of himself.
Yeah.
And up walks Jacoby Brissett and Jimmy Garoppolo. Because the former backups. And he's like, so how are you guys doing? And Jacoby Brissett goes, oh, you know, I have a winning record after replacing a living legend. And Tom Brady goes, yeah, things are going pretty good for me too. I'm undefeated. And Jimmy Garoppolo goes, yep, I'm undefeated too. And you just see they go inside Tom Brady's head. And it's a room full of Tom Brady's all in panic mode. Because his former backups are as good as he is in record and stuff like that. It is this journey of their psyches that is absolutely hysterical. And I'll say this. You must pause it. You have to watch it, and you have to watch it the second time through. It's only a minute long. Pause it every 5 seconds. The background stuff is epic.
Okay.
They have the discussion in front of a place called Wentz's Pretzels.
Nice.
And one of the sites says, our pretzels crumble under pressure faster than anybody else.
Damn.
They are brutal. They are brutally evil to these guys. So great episode. I'm sure the Patriot fans are sitting there like, that's not how Tom Brady is. Listen, folks, that's how the world sees Tom Brady. That's how Tom Brady is the least secure quarterback in the history of the league from the non-Patriot fan perspective.
And there
Just
goes
saying.
Cinch.
And there goes like a third of my audience. So, all right, defenses.
Yes.
The metric wants you to draft the Raiders.
Why?
Do not draft the Raiders.
No.
Do not draft the Raiders. They're doing that based off the fact that Deshaun Watson struggled last week, and if he throws 2 or 3 picks, the Raiders might end up positive, and they're only 1,500. There's a reason the Raiders are only 1,500, folks, so don't use them. I like the Chargers this week. The Chicago offense is woeful, and I think this is going to be a lower scoring game.
Sorry, Sean. Not that you listen to this.
But yeah, I mean, what was it? That game, that over under is 40, which, believe it or not, I'm looking right now. I'm double checking this before I say it. That's the lowest total of the week. Is 40. Is the Chargers at Chicago? That tells me that somebody, unless you like the Chicago defense a great deal, and I don't. That means it's going to be a low-scoring game. One of them has to score a lot of points, and I think it's going to be the Chargers. What do you think?
Out of those two, or defense in general?
General,
yeah, I would definitely take the Chargers. I do kind of like the Bills against Philly, because as we just said, Philadelphia seems very confused right now.
Absolutely the chalk. Philly,
and
there's a good chance that Philly's going to give up 5 sacks this week.
Yeah. I do like Tennessee against Tampa Bay. They're 3,200. And the defensive matchup of the week, Pittsburgh's playing Miami. But they're 4,000, so they're a little pricey.
It's the only reason they're 4,000.
Right.
Is because it's Miami. If you put them against anybody else, they're a $3,500, maybe a $3,000 buy. The Bills are $3,000, and the Steelers are more expensive, and that's not an endorsement of the Steelers.
Patriots are 4,300. Again, pricey.
I can't. That's just too much. I got to go with the Bills at 3,000 if I'm paying up. So what I'm doing, I am absolutely trying to go as chalky as possible. I am definitely using Cooks or McCaffrey in my running back position. I am looking for reliable mid-range wide receivers. I am liking guys like T.Y. Hilton and Cortland Sutton this week, and I am paying down at tight end and defense, moderately so, going to mid to lower range. I have one lineup where I followed that strategy. I went high on running back. I went mid to cheap everywhere else, and I ended up with enough money to put DeAndre Hopkins in my flex.
Nice.
And he was 8,100. So
nice.
There is a lot of opportunity for value at this. Now, to be fair, my own projection system only put that team at 138 points. That is low for the pay line. But the pay lines have been lower the last couple of weeks as guys have gotten hurt and people have been underperforming. I think last week, the average pay line was about 142 points. Don't quote me on that, but it was definitely below. 150 is normally the target number. But in cash games, strictly cash games we're talking, it was definitely down last week. I had lineups at 144 and 142 that cashed easily. So I think the pay lines are coming down a little bit as people are struggling and as it's getting harder to make lineups. So there you go. That's my assessment for this week. We are out of time. Craig, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. It is sadly the middle of the season, and October's almost over. That means, sadly, pumpkin beer will almost be gone.
But that means holiday ale is coming.
That is true.
Holiday ale is coming. and then Brit will be going. So
there go cases and cases of beer.
Yeah. So my final thought is this weekend I'll give a report. You guys know I'm a big curler, and by big I mean I do it non-competitively and at the club level. This weekend, the curling club in Bridgeport is hosting a huge World Curling Tour event, and I got the green light to say that a team is coming with 3 former NFL players on it.
That's awesome.
Originally, we were keeping this under wraps. We didn't know how much they wanted to know. Well, their coach was doing a clinic for another function this past weekend. It's a curler named John Benton. And John Benton told our president, you can publicize the crap out of the fact that they're going to be there. They don't care as long as you don't interrupt them while they play. So I can tell you right now that Jared Allen is bringing his team. Jared Allen, former Chief, former Viking, legendary defensive player, is bringing his team. Also on his team is Jason Smith, who was a offensive lineman for Miami for a couple of years. And ready for this name, blast from the past, Mark Bulger.
Oh, wow.
Guy who tried to take over the greatest show on turf and just...
He tried.
I don't think anybody could step into Kurt Warner's shoes after that, so I don't want to sit there and say he failed at it because that's just not fair. but he is now curling on the World Curling Tour with Jared and Jason, and a couple other guys too. It's a 5-man team and they rotate. But they're coming to Bridgeport this week, and I will be broadcasting one of their matches. So if you hear this podcast and you're interested in learning anything about curling, you want to see something, go to YouTube and search Nutmeg Curling Club, and you will see a tournament called Blazing Leaves, and you might even hear my voice as I call the matches this weekend. But yeah, they'll be in Bridgeport this week, and I will definitely try to get a quick photo up and put it up on our website if I get a chance. I hear Jared is very interested in talking as long as he's not playing and he's not getting ready for a match. He's very interested in doing these kinds of things. So maybe I can get a quick interview with Jared Allen on there. But as always, leave us a review wherever you listen to us. If you are new to our podcast, we are now on YouTube. It is not video yet. We're talking about that, and it may never be video, but it's at least audio. But we are now available on YouTube in addition to all the places you can catch us as a podcast. We are completely out of time because it's a 5-week month, and we're a small budget podcast. We need to save bandwidth for next week. So we will be back next week with our October Spectacular. Our Thanksgiving. No, not Thanksgiving. Halloween Spectacular. I'm rushing and I'm mixing up my words and I'm not getting through as quickly as I want to get through. So until then, leave us a review. We always like your feedback. We do appreciate it. Leave us a review wherever you listen to us. And good luck in week 8.
8.
Jesus, I don't even know what week it is. This is what happens when I don't drink during the podcast, folks. You think it's bad when I drink? This is what happens when I don't drink. Until next week, my name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
And we are the Football Fignuts Podcast. Take care, everybody.